General Hospital spoilers warn that Sasha Gilmore Corbin is about to have a horrific meltdown. It appears like Sasha will make her worst Daisy Gilmore discovery yet at the Quartermaine estate, so let's discuss what's in store. GH viewers are aware that Sasha has been disturbed by some strange Daisy-related incidents, beginning with the bassinet catastrophe at the hospital. Daisy's phone inexplicably went on when she returned home, perplexing Sasha. Sasha was even more perplexed when she discovered Daisy in her cot, facing the opposite direction and dressed very differently. Someone is obviously enamored with the baby and wants to screw with Sasha's head. Unfortunately, they aren't done yet. As General Hospital teasers indicate, Sasha will uncover a shocking discovery on the July 7th episode. What will Sasha discover when things continue to worsen and she becomes increasingly concerned? You can guarantee it'll be tied to the Daisy mystery and all the strange things that keep happening. It would certainly be a terrible finding if Sasha discovered Daisy's crib or bassinet empty, but other GH teasers do not indicate Daisy's disappearance, at least not yet. Michael Corinthos and other persons who care about Daisy appear to have different plans for the week of July 7th to 11th. That could indicate that the show will postpone any kidnapping developments. With that in mind, perhaps Sasha will discover anything more disturbing in Daisy's bedroom. It's easy to picture some bricks spelling "she's mine," or another message. On the other side, maybe there's a bouquet of daisies with an unsettling card someplace in the house. Sasha may get an anonymous message that confirms her suspicions that someone is targeting her baby girl. Whatever happens, Sasha will undoubtedly have a meltdown at some scary news, and be concerned that there will be more difficulty ahead. According to General Hospital spoilers, Sasha will go to any length to protect Daisy, so stay tuned for more information on her next move. The Quartermaine home had always kept its secrets hidden behind its lavish walls, but the one Sasha was about to reveal would change everything. The storm that had been brewing outside appeared almost prophetic, winds howling, thunder thundering through the Corinthos estate, and the sky darkening over Port Charles. Inside the mansion, Sasha strolled the corridors with an uneasy feeling that had nothing to do with the weather. The Quartermaines had invited her to dinner, but she arrived early to gather her thoughts. She hadn't anticipated to discover a truth that would challenge everything she thought she understood. It began simply enough. Sasha had been searching for Monica, but she was not in the living room or kitchen. She planned to wait in the solarium, which had always been her favorite section of the estate. On her approach there, she noticed a faint noise, a quiet, childlike voice coming from the long-closed wing of the home. The doors were supposed to remain locked, particularly when the renovations began. But one was ajar, creaking gently in the breeze. Sasha should have disregarded it. She knew that. But something drove her forward. She felt a peculiar chill run up her spine as she stepped into the corridor, her heels echoing ominously against the polished wood floor. The door at the end of the hall had formerly belonged to Edward's old study. Nobody had used it in years. When Sasha pushed it open, she expected dust, boxes, and even old furniture shrouded in sheets. Instead, she found a little pink shoe in the center of the room. Children's drawings were attached to the wall, stick pictures of people holding hands under a smiling sun, more appropriate for a refrigerator than a locked-up study in a mansion. Her heart started to rush. Sasha took up the shoe and turned it over in her hand. It was fresh, not dusty or worn out, something a youngster had recently worn. Her instincts warned her that something was wrong. She took a step more in and noticed a photograph on the desk. It was a black and white printout, presumably taken from a security camera. It shows a small girl being led into a dark SUV. Sasha's stomach sank. She did not know the child's name, but she recognized the mother in the background. Daisy Ketchum. Daisy had always been somewhat of a mystery in town. She was one of those persons who was well versed in everyone else's affairs yet kept her own private. Her history was hazy, with stories of time spent in group homes, an estranged family in upstate New York, and multiple psychiatric holds throughout the years. Sasha had never been close to her, although they had crossed paths several times. This image triggered 1,000 red flags. Sasha had hardly had time to grasp what she was seeing when she heard a noise behind her. She turned alarmed, but no one was present. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being observed. She took the photo and the tiny shoe, slipped them into her purse, and swiftly left the room. Her heart raced against her ribcage as she walked quickly back toward the main corridor, only to run into Ned. He smiled nicely, apparently unconscious of her distress. "Sasha, you are early. Monica should be here any minute." Sasha nodded, trying to gather her thoughts. "Thanks. I was just looking around. I hope you didn't go into the old study." "That wing isn't safe," Ned replied, his expression hardening just enough to alert Sasha. She grinned tightly in response, brushing off the warning. "Certainly not. Just stretching my legs." The remainder of dinner was a haze. Monica arrived late and apologized profusely. Brooke Lynn remained abnormally silent. Even Olivia appeared to be on edge. Sasha's thoughts were not on the meal or the discussion. It was on that shoe, that photo, and Daisy. By the time dessert arrived, she had made up her decision. She wanted answers, and only one person could provide them to her. That night, Sasha drove through the rain to a low-income housing unit near the docks, where she knew Daisy lived. Daisy's apartment had no lights on, but Sasha could see a candle flickering through the window. She knocked. No response. She banged again, but louder this time. After a minute, the door creaked open. Daisy stood there, wide-eyed and apprehensive. "Sasha?" she asked, her voice shaking. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk," Sasha remarked as she stepped forward. "It's important." Daisy hesitated before nodding and letting her in. The flat was dimly lit, poorly furnished, and strewn with drawings, toys, and stacks of paper. The air smelled of old incense and something else, sterile, almost chemical. Sasha did not waste time. She removed the shoe from her suitcase and placed it on the table. "I found this in the Quartermaine mansion." Along with this, she unfolded the security photograph. Daisy froze, the color draining from her face. Her hands shook as she grabbed for the chair. She did not sit. "You weren't supposed to see that." "Who is she?" Sasha demanded. "Is this your daughter?" Daisy looked down. Her lips quivered. "Not biologically. But I reared her. I protected her. They were about to take her away. I needed to do something." "Who is they?" Sasha inquired, her tone growing more urgent. "Why is there a child hidden in the Quartermaine mansion?" Daisy eventually sat down, sinking into herself. "You do not comprehend. That tiny girl, Maribel, was born in a facility outside of town. Her mother was the victim of human trafficking. She died during childbirth. The system did not care. They planned to place Maribel in a group home. I understood what that meant. I lived through that agony. I couldn't let that happen to her." "So you took her?" Sasha whispered. "I rescued her," Daisy exclaimed. "I brought her to someone who offered to help. I didn't realize the Quartermaines were involved. I had no idea she would end up in that house." Sasha's mind whirled. She recalled Monica, Ned's tight-lipped warning, and Brooke Lynn's silence at supper. Were they involved? Or were they just hiding a secret to protect someone? "I need to see her," Sasha explained. "If she's still there, she could be in danger." Daisy paused. "They will come after me if I speak. But perhaps you can help her. If I offer you something, you have to agree to travel alone. No cops. I promise." Daisy reached into a drawer and took out a flash disk. "Everything's on here. Where she was born, what they were doing at that clinic, and who's funding it." Back at her flat, Sasha connected the drive to her laptop. What she witnessed chilled her to the bone. Dozens of files, medical records, false birth certificates, transfer reports, were all linked to a shadow organization with ties to the Quartermaine family via a network of shell firms. Tracy Quartermaine was the only name that kept emerging. The following day, Sasha returned to the estate, stating she had left her bracelet there. Monica let her in, trusting as always. While the family was busy in the parlor, Sasha returned to the forbidden wing. She found the study empty but followed a faint humming sound down a concealed corridor. Behind a sliding panel, she discovered a small, windowless chamber arranged like a children's playroom. Maribel sat on the floor cuddling a stuffed bear. She was stunning, big brown eyes, dark hair, and an innocence that broke Sasha's heart. The girl looked up at her but did not respond. Sasha knelt with a lovely grin. "Hello, sweetheart. I'm your friend." Maribel stared at her bear and then back at Sasha. "Are you going to take me away?" Sasha's breath caught. "Yes. I think it's time you joined me." Right then the door creaked behind her. Brooklyn stood there, eyes wide and pallid. Sasha, what are you doing here? I know everything, Sasha explained. This is about the clinic. About Daisy. What about this little girl? Brooklyn stepped inside and closed the door behind her. You do not comprehend. We are not harming her. We're protecting her. If specific people discover where she is, she will disappear into the system. Or worse. Then tell the truth, Sasha insisted. You can't keep this secret forever. Brooklyn appeared torn, her lips twitching as she crouched alongside Maribel. She is my cousin's child. Tracy knew. She agreed to keep the girl's secret until we figured out how to legally adopt her. But we are running out of time. Sasha placed her hand on Brooklyn's shoulder. Then let me help. We do it the proper way. For Maribel. In the days that followed, the truth gradually emerged. Monica verified some of the narrative. Ned remained mute, possibly to protect the family. Tracy denied everything, of course, but her financial records suggested a different picture. With Daisy's evidence and the documents Sasha discovered, they were able to establish a strong case to battle for Maribel's custody legally. But it was not without consequences. The affair made headlines in the news, pulling Quartermaine's name into disrepute. Tracy fled town again, swearing vengeance. Daisy was taken in protective custody, and many questioned her mental health. Throughout it all, Sasha remained by Maribel's side, determined that the girl would never have to endure as so many others had. What began as a horrific discovery evolved into a goal. Sasha had stumbled into a nightmare, but through it, she discovered the cause. Something beyond herself. Something worthy of fighting for. General Hospital spoilers are in for Friday, July 4, 2025. Fans should expect Rocco Falconeri to confront Lulu Spencer. Meanwhile, Anna Devane faces off against Jen Sidwell. Continue reading to learn more about what will happen in the next episode of ABC's soap opera. Programming note. Just a quick programming note for the viewers. Because of the 4th of July, no new episode will show tomorrow. Instead, expect a rebroadcast beginning November 27, 2024. In this replay, Lucky Spencer meets Cyrus Renaud. Rocco Falconeri's confrontation. Over with Rocco. He is still suffering from the discovery regarding Britt Westbourne. Rocco and Danny Morgan questioned Emma Scorpio Drake, but she had little answers. That prompts Rocco to return home and confront his mother. Imagine Lulu's shock when her son learns about the surrogacy. Lulu will certainly blame Brooklyn Quartermaine. While BLQ did have the information, she chose not to utilize it since it would harm the boy, who is innocent in all of this. Anna Devane's face-off. Anna decides to visit Sidwell and ask him some questions. However, the villain appears to be losing it. Sidwell, angry and impatient, informs Anna that if she wants answers, she should look at him, referring to Sonny Corinthos. Monday, July 7, 2025. In the upcoming episode, fans can anticipate BLQ to tell Cody Bell that one of them must be the bigger guy. Once again, this appears to be about Lulu and the Brit secret. Jocelyn Jax informs a puzzled and bare-chested Vaughn that this isn't working. Joss also says they are finished. Read this. General Hospital Cody Bell scales back. Is he leaving Port Charles solo? Laura Collins chats with Sonny. The mob boss informs the frightened mayor that there may be a way to contain the damage. What is Sonny talking about, and will it work? The mob war between the two guys is only going to get worse before it improves. Sonny is unconcerned if Marco Rios is collateral damage. On the other hand, Sidwell put Christina Corinthos Davis at risk to make a point. Tracy Quartermaine is correct. Everyone is at risk, and mobsters often target their rivals' loved ones. What does this signify for Giovanni Gio Palmieri? The fallout of the most recent Port Charles explosion was more than simply literal. It was emotional, psychological, and highly personal. As Sonny stood in the ruins of what used to be his neutral area warehouse, the bitter fragrance of smoke hung in the air like remorse on a guilty man. He stared at the ruins, jaw hard, eyes locked and heart thumping. Fortunately, there were no bodies, but what about the symbolic damage? That was considerably more difficult to wipe away. He realized the warehouse was more than just a place of business. It was a statement. Sonny Corinthos maintained his power, reach, and control. But the explosion had wiped that away. Worse, it wasn't entirely random. It was targeted. Calculated. A message. But from whom? Dante had arrived minutes after the call, with his badge clipped and his countenance impassive. He'd seen his father like this before, controlled wrath seething just beneath the surface, but this time Sonny's silence shouted even louder. Dante did not ask questions at first. He just stood by him, both men watching the firefighters extinguish the residual embers. When Sonny finally spoke, his tone was cold, abrupt, and devoid of emotion. They hit me where it hurts, but they missed the point. Dante lifted an eyebrow. Which is? I've been pulling back, attempting to become someone else. Do they want the old Sonny? Fine. But this was not what Dante wanted to hear. Deep down, Sonny didn't want it either. He did not want to return to the man who governed through fear and revenge. But the environment surrounding him didn't make things easier. Elsewhere, Rocco was dealing with his own storm. The boy had been sliding since the disclosures about his mother's condition, and the news of the warehouse explosion threw him into an emotional vortex. It wasn't just about the structure or the threat, it was about what it represented. That Sonny's world, the world his father Dante was bound to, the one his mother Lulu had worked so hard to escape, had returned in full force. Even worse, it was invading again. He stormed inside the Quartermaine home, stunning Olivia, who had been attempting to soothe Leo about something inconsequential. One look at Rocco's face told her this was more than just teenage angst. His eyes were bloodshot, his fists clenched, and he breathed heavily. I'm done pretending, Nana, he murmured, his voice cracking. I do not want to be protected anymore. I want to know everything. Olivia approached him gently, taking care not to make any unexpected movements. Rocco, sweetheart, this isn't the time. No, he yelled, tears welling up in his eyes. It is way past time. I know the type of man Sonny is, and I know my father is trying to be different, but he is still attached to him. And Mom? She never had a chance. Olivia felt heartbroken. Rocco inherited Lulu's fire and Dante's sense of justice, but the combination now threatened to consume him from the inside out. She tried to reason with him, but he wouldn't hear it. Every explanation felt like a cover-up, and every justification like a lie. I'm not a kid anymore, he explained. And if the Corinthos name continues to damage all I care about, I must put an end to it. Myself. Meanwhile, at the invader's office, Sidwell was throwing papers and shouting so loudly that passers-by could hear him. The story about the warehouse explosion had already leaked, and someone close, had provided an exclusive to a competing publication. He strode around the office, his tie unfastened, veins protruding in his neck. How in the hell did they get it first? He exclaimed. This was ours. We own Port Charles coverage. Who leaked it? His helper, evidently shaken, attempted to respond, but Sidwell would not listen. He couldn't hear her stammering words because he was too angry. Eventually, he turned to the only person he could blame, Gio. You were at the docks last week. You overheard murmurs. Why didn't you follow up? Gio, caught off guard, held his ground. Because I did not have facts. And you constantly say we don't publish things based on rumors. Sidwell smashed his hand against the desk. I say that because I believe we have integrity. But this was an explosion. In Sonny's area. That's front page news. And we missed it because you were too concerned with being moral. Gio felt the sting of the accusation. He'd been attempting to play by the rules. Maintain cleanliness. Not fall into the traps that his last name, Falconeri, seemed to attract. But Sidwell didn't care. Not now. From now on, Sidwell hissed. You will not wait for confirmation. You got it. I don't care how. Back at Kelly's, Gio sat at the counter, coffee untouched, his head spinning. He hoped that working at the Invader would allow him to influence narratives and demonstrate that he was more than simply a detective's son and a mobster's grandson. What about today? Today made it plain that he had only exchanged one type of pressure for another. Trina stepped in, saw him, and recognized the look. She sat near him without asking. Are you okay? She asked softly. No, he responded. I'm not. She did not press. She just waited. Gio eventually started talking. About the explosion, Sidwell's outburst, and how his surname was forcing him into situations he didn't want to be in. Trina listened with patience and wisdom beyond her years. You're trying to rewrite a story, she finally remarked. But you can't do that if you're too scared to put your name on the byline. What if my name is causing the problem? He inquired, his eyes filled with doubt. Then change what it means. Meanwhile, Sonny had already taken action. Damage control did not wait. He called Brick, sent a message to Dex, and made sure Diane was included. He had his bases covered legally, but that wasn't the problem. The underlying issue was perception. People felt Sonny was weak, softened, vulnerable. He could not afford that. He met with Nina quietly, away from the Metro Court and the noise. She was concerned, of course, but also skeptical. Their partnership had weathered many storms before, but this one seemed different. Sonny's eyes were too far apart for her to cross. I'm not asking you to understand, he told you. I just need you to let me do what I have to do. Nina crossed her arms. What is that exactly? Retaliation? Control, he stated. If I don't get ahead of this, I lose everything. She gazed at him for a long time. What happens if you lose yourself? But Sonny had already made his decision. He could not afford to be hesitant. At the same time, Rocco was formulating his own arrangements. If the adults were not going to tell him the truth, he would have to find out for himself. He began digging through old files and newspaper archives, as well as paying visits to persons like Spinelli and Sam, asking them uncomfortable questions. He wasn't a kid anymore, but he wasn't prepared to face the things he was about to discover. Spinelli issued him a warning. Once you open some doors, Rocco, they don't close. I don't want them to, Rocco answered. Gio, frustrated up with Sidwell turning the invader into a tabloid warzone, began quietly working on his own exposé. Not about Sonny, but what about the system? About how fear dominates media and how personal agendas taint public truth. He had no idea where it would lead, but for the first time he felt like he was making his own way. Everything in Port Charles was altering. Sidwell, feeling the cracks in his empire, doubled down. He approached Sonny immediately and offered him a deal, press protection in exchange for favors. Sonny declined. Firmly. That simply increased Sidwell's wrath. And like any male who felt rejected, he decided to dig deep. He dispatched a squad to examine not only Sonny, but everyone involved: Gio, Rocco, and even Olivia. The gloves were off. Sonny knew it. He met Dante that night. The two guys sat in silence for a time before Sonny finally expressed what had been bothering him. I tried to do better. For the children. For Nina. For you. Dante nodded. You were. But that version of me, says Sonny, can't protect this family. Dante looked aside. Just don't forget who you were trying to become. As the lights of Port Charles glimmered in the distance, everyone came to a crossroads. Gio clicked save on a draft that might either end his career or launch it. Rocco closed a folder containing more answers than he was prepared for. Sidwell peered at a wall of headlines that now seemed hollow. And Sonny? Sonny loaded a gun, not because he intended to use it, but because he couldn't afford to pretend that peace was still possible. Port Charles prepared for impact. Again. Only this time the combat lines were more disorganized. Fathers and sons, truth and power, legacy and identity, each on a collision course with destiny. General Hospital spoilers and updates hint that Willow Tate and Scout Kane may be in for some great bonding time, but it could end in disaster. Will Drew Kane's plan backfire and cause a major disaster? What if Scout dislikes Willow and becomes resentful? Cosette Abinante has been filming further scenes, which should air within the next few weeks. It has come to our attention that Cosette Abinante has recorded new sequences that will be televised shortly. Meanwhile, Scout has been notably absent from the recent family conflict, but that is anticipated to change soon. Willow has been in extreme distress as a result of her separation from Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Willow has been devastated by the loss of custody. Drew is determined to do all necessary to help Willow reunite with her children, which has resulted in arrangements for a wedding so that they can show a united face in court. Drew's short-term plan. Nonetheless, Drew may devise a short-term strategy during this time. As Willow will soon become Scout's stepmother, Drew may believe they should have more opportunity to bond. Drew may believe that allowing Willow to feel like a mother figure again will help to heal her heart. Given Scout's struggles without Sam McCall, Drew believes that improving her friendship with Willow would benefit both of them. However, such a suggestion could have terrible consequences. Willow hasn't been in the best of mental health lately, making it difficult to predict how she will behave with Scout. Nonetheless, Scout may not accept her. Willow could have a meltdown, and Scout may resent her trying to replace Sam. Willow may have an emotional breakdown if something triggers her, allowing Scout to see everything up close. Scout may even witness Willow fade out and assume a new ego, especially if the tale revolves around dissociative identity disorder. Furthermore, if Willow's mental state deteriorates, she may become disoriented and mistake Scout for Amelia. This situation could result in Willow fleeing with Scout, leaving Drew in a panic while he hunts for both of them. Scout may dislike Willow's attempt to take Sam's position if she learns Willow is about to marry her father. Scout might panic if Willow goes off the deep end. Scout could end up stressing out over whatever predicament Willow finds herself in, and then seek refuge from Drew. To put it another way, if any of Cosette Abinante's future scenes include moments between Scout and Willow, it could foreshadow terrible news. Scout may even opt to flee from home, even if just to the Quartermaine mansion or her grandmother Alexis Davis's residence. She may even sneak into the Quartermaine boathouse and enlist Danny Morgan's assistance to keep herself hidden from Willow. Drew is expected to confront more family drama, according to General Hospital spoilers, so keep an eye out for any forthcoming shocks. Willow had always believed that healing comes in waves, some gentle and others crushing under the weight of past traumas and future worries. Her world had never been completely calm since her cancer diagnosis, but now that she was in remission, she was looking for something more than just survival. Wiley and Amelia filled her days with joy and love, but she still felt compelled to recover her own identity, not only as a mother or Michael's partner, but as Willow herself. So when Drew urged her to spend more time with Scout, providing her the opportunity to take on a role outside of her comfort zone, she accepted with caution. Scout was a curious, energetic youngster who was clever for her age and extremely intuitive. She possessed Drew's ambition and Sam's independence, but when she relaxed her guard, she revealed a sensitivity. Initially, their time together was restricted to brief, courteous conversations. Scout regarded Willow with courtesy but distance, just as she would any adult she did not know well. Drew's well-thought-out aim was to build a bond between the two in order to help Scout develop deeper emotional connections following a series of stressful life events. Drew had not foreseen how Willow would change during that process, and how it would throw his entire plan into disarray. First, Drew just noticed progress. Willow took Scout for walks in the park, assisted her with homework, and invited her to baking sessions in the Corinthos kitchen. Scout had laughed more that afternoon than she had in weeks. Michael smiled as he observed Willow's budding bond with the young girl, and fostered it at every opportunity. Drew, however, was focused on something else. Something deeper. Willow wasn't just being nice. She was emotionally invested, letting her guard down in a way that indicated she wanted this link just as much as Scout did. That made things more complicated. Drew had a long-term vision. He believed that by surrounding Scout with solid, nurturing adults, particularly Willow, who had faced and overcome her own challenges, he could help her develop emotional resilience. He wanted to be the father Scout needed after years of absentee parenting and erratic custody arrangements. But his personal feelings had begun to creep into the equation. He admired Willow, perhaps more than he should. Her strength, kindness, and grace enthralled him. Though he'd never crossed a boundary, it was getting more difficult for him to distinguish between what he wanted for Scout and what he was starting to want for himself. Willow, for her part, was ignorant of the emotional strain simmering beneath the surface. Her time with Scout was becoming the highlight of her week. She hadn't realized how much she missed interacting with people outside of her family. Scout was starting to open up in unexpected ways, expressing her dreams, worries, ideas about her father's decisions, and even her regret that Sam's new relationship with Dante was taking up so much of his time. Willow listened, never judging and always validating, and Scout gradually came to trust her more than she had most people. It didn't take long before others noticed. Sam, in particular, started to feel nervous. She respected Willow and valued her positive effect on Scout, but the closeness between the two was disconcerting. Sam had spent years attempting to reestablish her relationship with her daughter, and it appeared like Willow was accidentally stepping into her footsteps.